Hey, Kimeyo.
Hey, what's going on, Jenn?
What are you listening to this week? Welcome
Well,
to season 5 of What Are You Listening To? The weekly podcast created to foster community through music by sharing the stories behind the songs that soundtrack our lives. Some of the songs are old, some new, all good. I'm Jenn Tully, and this week I'm joined by musician and producer Kimeyo Daniels. Kimeyo is the founder and creator behind Kimeyo Records. Kimeyo Records is carving out a niche with its debut album, The Process, an endeavor rooted in independence, familial ties, and a dream that refuses to die. On this album, Kimeyo showcases not only his talent, but also the talents of his two sons, Chunky on the track and George Made It, who both played a crucial role in the album's production. The heart of the process lies in familial collaboration that shaped its creation. As always, Kimeyo and I are going to get to know each other through 4 songs. 2 are his picks and 2 are mine. Which songs do you think we're going to discuss? Tune into our conversation to find out. And in case our song picks are new to you, we'll publish a playlist with the episode so you don't miss a beat. We structured this week's show a little differently than previous episodes. Kimeyo, your 2 picks are going to reflect some of your biggest influences, and my 2 picks are 2 of my favorite songs from your catalog. So let's get going. Kimeyo, what are you listening to this week?
hey, what's going on, Jenn? Well, this week it was kind of different. I decided to take a page out of my son Chunky on the Tracks book, and I started listening to Juice World. And
Okay.
because that's one of his many favorite artists. But I listened to Juice World, and I gave it a real listen this time, and I come to find out he was very creative. A lot of the things he was talking about was kind of like it was impactful,
Yeah.
and it was just it was enlightening for me to listen to that artist because he's been telling me about him for the longest, but it's hard for me to gravitate to the new generation because I feel like they don't really have a lot of meaning in their music. I think they just making songs, going in the studio, just making records and then calling it a day. But this particular artist was actually had some impactful meaning in his music. So I got to listen to it.
That's good. And I feel like we're going to get into that, especially as we start walking through your tracks and the album. And I also want to talk too about old school versus new school because I struggle sometimes with the same thing. Like, we lived through a time where music was really changing things. I mean, like, people were, at least for me, my eyes were open to things that I had no idea about. Right. And so, whenever you and I spoke and you sent over some influence tracks, it really gave me a chance to kind of go back and think about those days of music. And I think the first one that you mentioned that like hit me and I like to immediately was back in 1987 was 6 in the Morning by Ice-T. And you said that that was kind of an album, or a song that I think you mentioned the whole album, but that song in particular was one that had really influenced you. And that definitely speaks to what you're talking about, right? Like, that song was saying something, like something that, like I said, as a kid in Texas, like, I had no idea about. And it was one of those moments where it's like, wait a minute, what am I hearing? And, I'd been listening to like Run DMC and Beastie Boys and sort of like party rock, or party rap hip hop at that time. And then this song comes along and you know that you're hearing something completely different, right? Like, it wasn't like anything I'd ever heard. Tell me about that song. Like, why is that impactful to you? What did that song mean to you? How did it register in your life and figure in?
Well, when I first heard it, I was we my family migrated from my mother's side of the family migrated from Texas.
Ah,
So so half of the family was in Southern California and the other half was in Northern California. And we went on a road trip with my grandmother, my mom, my grandmother, my brothers and sisters, and my bonus dad. And we went up to San Francisco. We went over my aunt's house, and her son, which is my cousin Jerry, he was playing it. and he was just played it. And so he played it like 2 or 3 times, and then I asked him, "Can I use his headphones?" And I put the headphones on, and I just started listening to it. So I went to sleep listening to it, woke up listening to it. So I was just continuously just listening to that record, and it was like the words that Ice-T was saying, you could visualize it. You know what I mean? And that was impactful for me as far as like rapping was concerned at that time, because rapping was still relatively new. But the way that he was telling that story, and you could visualize it, and you thinking about the West Coast, because I'm from the West Coast, born and raised in Los Angeles, California. So all the things that he was saying, I could look right out my front door or front window and actually see it happening. But to have somebody articulated on music was just awesome, and that's one of the best parts. And the intro, 6 in the morning, police at my door, fresh Adidas streak across the bathroom floor. Out the back window, I made my escape. Didn't even have time to grab my old school. Like it's
Yep.
just he said it, and the word, it was a conversation. You know what I'm saying? He rapping and it was a conversation. So that record was dope. You know what I'm saying? It still is to this day.
It still is. That's what I was saying before we got on. Like it'd been years since I'd listened to the whole Rhyme Pays album and just like went back. And this also came at a time for me, again, as like a kid in Texas, not being able to really relate to like you said, like opening my window and seeing this happen, but opening my mind and knowing that it did was completely different, right? Like life changing in a way that, like, when I got to LA, I felt like I understood something about the city. I lived there for 15 years right out of college. And I don't know. I felt like, oh, I have an understanding of what other people's experience are like in this city, even though I have never lived here before. You know, like it was different, and it came along at that time when you're, for me, where you're kind of diverging from what your parents are listening to or what's on the radio, and you're kind of trying to figure out what your music is, you know. And so I just remember like a lot of the guys that I hung out with at school were playing this all the time. It was in people's cars all the time, you know. So it brought me back to like a time and place. And it just made me think about things differently. It made me think that the world's a lot bigger than this small Texas city that I live in. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And then when you also looking at that from the same level, the album, that song, and everything was all one purpose. It's like you wouldn't have an album called, let's say, because I don't want to give out a title and then have somebody thinking I'm offending them. So I want to just use a general reference.
Yeah.
You wouldn't make an album called Driving Down the Street, and then every song on the album is you in the mall. You
Right.
know, back in those days, if you made an album talking about driving down the street, pretty much every song was relating to you driving down the street.
Yeah.
And with that album, Ice-T called it Rhyme Pays, and he was showing you in every song that these raps is making him money. So rhyming is paying, and he's doing it, and it was a very consistent. And another artist that came out and did that I know personally was an artist by the name of Player Ham, and his record was called Penthouse Players, and his album was called Paid the Cost. You know, so if you listen to all of them records, they're kind of consistent. Now, the difference between Ice T and Player Ham is I knew Player Ham personally,
Okay.
and Ice T was somebody that I didn't know. I just got introduced to his music. So when you talk about like inspire and inspiration,
Yeah.
I took for granted my relationship with Player Ham because I saw him every day. It's like, if your dad's trying to teach you something and you just not grabbing it, versus the teacher at school teaching you the exact same thing your dad's trying to teach you, is some for some mysterious reason it's easier for you to gravitate to it from the teacher at school
Yep.
than it is to gravitate to you from your dad. And that's how the that was the contradiction of me being an artist, because I had Player Ham right at my immediate disposal. He's right at the corner. I can go talk to him all day, and I did talk to him all day. And even when I started my journey, he was very instrumental in helping me, craft my songs. But it was just Ice-T was different. It
Yeah.
was like, boom, flash, here it go. This is it. And it's like, okay, I get it. So I understand exactly where you're coming from as far as, you know, this old school and this new school generation of music.
Mhm. Did this inspire you? Did you know you had musical talent before you heard this? Or did you hear this and think like, "Huh, I wonder if this is something that I could do too?" 'Cause I think you
I,
have to be special. You have to your brain has to work in a way that it can articulate a story, that's impactful, in some instances that rhymes. I mean, there's a whole lot going on. You have to be a smart individual to put this down on paper and then to throw beats behind it. I mean, and then bring in sampling, all kinds of things. Like, did you know you had a talent for that, or did you really have to
well,
develop it?
well, the '80s was breakdancing. The hip hop movement came, and I could break dance a little bit. I could do a couple of the breakdancing moves. I could beatbox. I'm probably the only one of my friends that was able to do what Dougie Fresh did. Like
Oh, yeah.
I was the only one that knew how to do it. So with that part, I was doing the Dougie Fresh thing, and then when it came to rapping, I was a great freestyler. So all through school, I was battling.
Yeah.
And elementary, junior high, high school, I was always battling rappers. Every rapper that felt that you could rap, they come meet me, nutrition, lunch. We start the cipher. Everybody knew I'm about to eat them up. You know what I'm saying? And I was a king rapper at all my schools because I was good at it, freestyling. And it wasn't something that I wanted to do professionally.
Okay.
It was just something that I was good at, that I had fun. And that's what it was for me. I knew I could rap. I used to do, I don't know if you remember this, but you probably should because you said you back in the day. Remember the voicemails machines, the answering
Oh,
machines?
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, a lot of people would have me put a rap on their voicemail. So a lot of my friends, a lot of family members would say, "Hey man, come make a rap for me for my voicemail." So I would do raps for voicemails. I would always every time somebody see me, "Hey, Kimeyo, spit one." And what would be crazy is if you rap it and I'm beatboxing for you, you getting a good beat. When I'm rapping, somebody beatboxing for me, it ain't the same. So I just start spitting. I wasn't even worrying about who was gonna do the beatboxing. I was just rapping now. So and that's how I knew it was I was good at it. Now, this is the curveball though. Because I knew people in the industry and I watched them get record deals, I thought it was supposed to be a walk in the park. You know what I mean? Everybody knew I could rap. I knew all these individuals. Now, when it's my turn to come do it, it didn't happen.
Mhm.
So you gotta think that was very kind of like discouraging because it's like everywhere I went, everyone knew me, knew that I could hold mine on a microphone, and it was just a crazy experience to go through. A big chunk of my life not being able to one, be acknowledged for my skill set, and two, to be given an opportunity to do it. So that was like that was a hard hill to climb for me for several years. That destroyed me internally because of that. So when you say that I know I have the skills, yes, I knew I had it. I know I have it. Let me correct that. I know I have it.
Yes.
And I'm very confident in my skill set. However, it just don't go that way. And by the grace of God, CD baby came and let me know, all right, now go fight. And I'm like, okay, I got something for y'all now. Now y'all can't stop me. I'm coming now.
Yeah.
so so I love the new generation of the record business because of that alone. Because of that alone, I don't have to wait for nobody. I don't have to depend on nothing. I could do it myself now. And there's only two choices. Once the music come out, there's only two choices. Either you like it or you don't. So let me see what I'm gonna get.
Yeah. And I noticed I made a note actually about that as I was checking out your Kimeyo Live Instagram, and you said that almost verbatim. You know, you said that the you thought your whole adult life that you were chasing a record deal when all you needed was distribution, right? And so that is a good thing. We did like brag a little bit on like the new music, but I do love that you don't have to, you're not at the mercy of a record label exec anymore or an A&R guy. Like you can, if you've got something to say, you've got music to put out there, you can do it these days. You can put it out in the world. You can record an album on your computer in GarageBand and like put it on Instagram or TikTok, and it's like it's in front of millions immediately. Like I do love that part of like new school music making, even though I miss the days of like going to the record store and like, you know, asking the people that work there what they're listening to and like talking to other people. I am excited that it is a lot more accessible now.
Now, what I will say about that is like I'm still old school. I still want to administrate it correctly.
Yeah.
I still want to. I want the record deal aspects of putting out records. I don't like the that's too easy for me to go in the studio, make a song and put it out and it hit these platforms and it's out. That's easy. That's cakewalk. I want to show them like if I'd have got my opportunity at this time, this is what I would have been doing then because
Mhm.
I'm still doing it today. So
Yeah.
I administrated my album and I think I did an immaculate job on administrating my record. And not only that, I can brag a little bit because I cleared a sample, on
Yeah.
my own. I called the publisher. I called the administrator. I negotiated with them. I took their terms. Whatever it was, I accepted it. I didn't go back and forth. It's like I want to use your record. Can I have your permission? They gave me what they wanted for me to use that record. I was like, fine. And when they gave me the price let me know they respected the fact that I asked them and didn't just take advantage of the opportunity to just put the music out. And that let me know like the record business is always going to be the record business. They say it's 10% music, 9%, 90% business.
Yeah.
And I'm a living witness to that, because when I have to call the Library of Congress, because we 3 hours behind on the West Coast.
Right.
So I get up at 5 in the morning and I'm calling the Library of Congress in DC asking them questions about my copyrights. I'm calling BMI at 5 in the morning where they not up, but I learned now they don't get up till like 9:30, 10. So I gotta call them at 7 and even with distribution, CD Baby don't have actual customer service phone. So I was forced to learn how to use that internet process and the support system of sending the emails, waiting for the response for the emails. But then I upgraded, paid the little extra money for my records. So now they respond to me in less than 24 hours. So that's a great thing. And then when you get to the manufacturing, now this is crazy when I manufactured my first project with my all my buddies, I'm talking to all my friends and my family members, I put that record out going to disc makers. And this is when we was making cassette tapes and you had to give them a DAT.
Yeah.
Now, 30 years later, I'm distributed through CD Baby, right?
Hmm.
I'm getting manufactured copies. Come to find out, disc makers is who I had to go through to get these manufacturers done. So I've been on the phone dealing with them, and shout out to Mr. Deacon over at Disc Makers who's been helping me get everything together. But it's I got a real record company, and my A&R, Smythe Hernandez, I call him Box Cutter. We really worked on this project, and Mark Palladino, the studio owner, we really took it back to the old school, the fundamentals of putting out a record. I'm actually dealing with the PROs, calling BMI,
Yeah.
dealing with ASCAP, and I just lost a dear friend, James Leach over at CSAC. But it's just I'm a record person. Like, yes, I can rap. Yes, I can go in the studio and make beats, but my sons is way better at it. And but I'm a record person. I like to administrate records. I like to make sure the records that we putting out is not going to have any copyright infringement situations. We're not going to have nobody come back and say that their information wasn't properly set up for them to receive the capital for their hard work.
Yeah.
I wanted to be known for that. So that's what it is, Miss Jen.
Yeah, well, and I feel like when you treat the process, no pun intended, with respect, like you're going to get that respect back, right? Like you're making sure that everybody's getting taken care of. You're not trying to take anybody's business and like make it your own. You're making sure everybody's at the table, and I think that that's good too. And maybe why I really loved like listening to the process. It felt like all of those tracks were meant to be listened to together. It meant that it felt cohesive, right? It felt like the old school days when I would put an album in and listen from beginning to end, with that short break to flip it over or like turn the cassette over. But that's what it felt like to me. And when I reached out to you initially, I was like, I'm dying to talk about this. I love what you're doing. And so I think that all of that came through when I was listening. Everything that you said, it feels professional. It feels like it's a cohesive endeavor.
Now the records you're listening to was off of a record that I did called, I was titling the album Income.
Okay.
INCOM. So it was supposed to be, I'm narrating chronicles of my emotions.
Oh,
So you got the album Chronicles of My Emotions, which I
love.
did. I went in the studio for about, I think it was like, it takes me on an average 4 to 6 months to do an album. So with the process, it was a little bit longer. I think we did 8 months to do this record, but 4 to 6 months is about my average time to do an album. And I did that record, Chronicles of My Emotions, with Code 187 from Above the Law, who was signed to
Mhm.
Ruthless Records, Big Hutch. And those are just records that we had that I
Wow.
just had sitting in my arsenal, and I just put out those singles because when I put out Change It Up, that was my first record that I released on CD Baby. That was um that was when I was like, you know what, I could do this, and some steps I skipped, because when you put the record out, it happened so fast. I skipped some steps, and then I went back and started correcting them, and then the next album I put out, I think after what did I put out after Change It Up? I think I put out I want to say, was it Crazy? I think it was
Mm,
Crazy. I think I put out Crazy after Change It Up, and when I did Crazy, I followed the steps, and then every record after that I was doing the steps. I was doing the steps, doing the steps. And then when I shot my first video, which was for Change It Up,
yep.
now it's like, okay, it's a record now. I got a record out. It's everywhere. I can put it on a story. I can put it on a TikTok, put it on Facebook. My music's out there. Now I got a video. It's on YouTube. It's mine. Okay. So I started putting Kimeyo everywhere. Kimeyo, 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 Kimeyo. But at first it was in entertainment because I wanted to stick to what I started with. I didn't want to, I branded in entertainment and I didn't want to change that. But after, I put the record out through CD Baby, I was like, you know what? I want my credit for my work. I want my credit for my drive. These 30 years that I put in this business, I want my credit. I want my recognition for that.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? No nicknames. Kimeyo. Kimeyo Records. Kimeyo Live, which is the podcast I'm gonna start doing, but I'm doing something a little bit different. It's gonna be a live podcast with a
Okay.
DJ. So it's like, and of course I would love to have you come on as a guest,
Of course.
but it's I wanted my credit now. Now it done got from chasing the dream to putting out music. Now I'm putting the records out. Now I want my credits. So now I'm more focused on the credits just as much as I'm focused on the music. And with my sons coming in, now this is where everything kind of like becomes special because all that time I was chasing and doing what I was doing and going through the hard knock life of this and the ups and downs and the craziness of this, my boys was paying attention. And not only was they paying attention, They was naturally talented, and now they're producing, and it's like they gave me beats to where it's like I don't really have to call no other producers. I could just go in down the hall. Hey, Chunky. Hey, George, don't slide me something. Let me see what you're working with. And of course, because they know they good at it, they already got the little ego where they like, you got to give me time, man. I want to play my roadblocks today. I want to be on Fortnite. I don't feel like making no music. I'm not inspired to do. Chunky boy, it take me forever to get him to give me a record. So it's like, oh my goodness, I done created monsters. You know what I'm saying? But
But
it's a
talented
beautiful thing.
monsters.
Exactly. But it's beautiful because we're living the record business lifestyle. My
Yeah.
sons is really producers. Chunky is a rapper and a producer. George strictly wants to produce, and it's like we live the lifestyle. Is if they want to work today, they work. If they don't, they don't. And the beautiful part about it is, since Dad is like the brains behind the label, I ain't gonna push them because I know what I didn't want to happen to me. So if they want to take forever to do a record, take forever. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no rush. It's just my problem with George. See, George is good, and George got a arsenal of friends that want music. So George is sending beats, and then they'll get put out, and the records will be out, sitting on these platforms, and George don't have his
No credit.
administration. Exactly, but oh, that's where I learned too. George do got his credit because if he uses somebody's sounds, which he learned, he ain't doing that no more. They called him and asked him for $100. So since George go to work every day, George said, "I'm not gonna go back and forth with him, Dad. I'm just gonna send him the money." So George paid him, but I said, "No, you make him send you a contract." So the guy sent George a contract. The contract was trash, but I told George, "This is your learning lesson. So let's just sign the agreement, send him his $100, let the record do what it do. You ain't got to worry about nobody sweating you no more. But this is the learning lesson. All them times that I've been sitting down trying to tell you, let's do it properly. Now you see how it came back on you because his friend put the record out. It was out for like a year and some change, and I guess I don't know if it's because we've been promoting the process, speaking on George made it, but the guy actually reached out to George and was like, "Hey man, I need to get paid." And George is like, "Wow, Dad, what you think?" And I'm like, "Wow." And me at that moment, as much as I was upset that it happened, I was proud because it was like my son was recognized for his talent, and this guy was like, I need to get that from you. And to watch my son just be like, man, I'm just gonna pay him. And we paid him, got the contract, so we do have an agreement with this guy. And now, this point forward, we ain't got to worry about George making them kind of mistakes no more.
Well,
You know?
and I love that you're not only collaborating creatively on things, you're also teaching them the business side of things too,
Yes.
and that kind of, I feel like that's a good segue into a couple of the tracks that I love that I wanted to talk about with you. The first one being Straight Boss Shit. And
Okay.
that feels like straight boss shit to me, right? Like that's what you're doing. You're like saying, look, there's like, yes, this is creative. This is what we're doing. We're in the music business, but do not forget, sons, this is a business at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, straight boss shit. The producer on that record is the A&R for Kimeyo Records. He's director of A&R. That's Smythe Hernandez, but I
Okay.
call him Box Cutter. And he's also the original engineer for my very first album that I did back in the day that I had to shelf because the business wasn't straight. So I wasn't gonna put a record out. Like I'm one of them guys that got to do it correctly. If
Right.
it's not correct, then I don't want it because I don't like drama. So I had to shelf my album, and that was depressing. I spent a lot of money creating that album. I did a lot. I worked so hard creating that album, and then I had to shelf it. You know what I'm saying? And but Box Cutter was my original engineer, and the person that did the mastering on this album, James Whiteman of JJW Sound, was he started engineering the lesson, but he ended up going off into mastering, and he mastered this album. And when we finished the album, we found out as well, like, you know, they didn't want to we turned the album in 24-bit 96 megahertz, and they was like, nah, well, you got to break it down to 1644. And we was mad. I'm trying to find out what distributor could take it hot at 2496. I'm competitive, you know what I'm saying? I need it hot. And come to find out that no matter who I would have sent the record to at 24, you know what I'm saying, 96, they still was gonna bring it back down to 1644. And we was like, man, we don't want nobody watering down our project, so we gonna give it to them 1644 hot coming from us. And man, James, he was hot. He was like, man, nah, I want my 2496.
Oh,
We competitive. We gonna give it to him hot. Let's give it to him hot. But we all had to come to the conclusion like they just ain't ready for this like that. So we gonna compete, and we got something good to give them. So, and I've been very tight on the process. I ain't let no one hear any of the records. I have a select few, like my
yeah,
close friends. I let them come to the studio, and I'll play like maybe 2 or 3 records, and I'll be selective on what records I'm gonna play. And but straight boss shit. Back to that one, box cutter. Now I told you I like doing things correctly, right?
yeah.
So CD baby don't have customer service, so I caught a flight to Portland, Oregon, to go to headquarters. But you know, I'm going to headquarters in the middle of this COVID situation.
Oh man.
Found out CD baby dude got a business. They got a building. It's they name is on the side of the building. You know what I mean? They got some real estate, but they ain't playing about that customer service. You gonna hit us through the internet. You gonna email us. We not answering no phones. None of that. So I get to Portland. I learned the hard way that CD Baby is very strict on their policy because it works for them. You know, you got to think they got
Yeah,
tons and tons of titles, and if they take phone calls, they will never get nothing done because they be on the phone all day. Because some people, a lot of people, do not really know how to do the record business.
right.
So they simplify it as best as they can, so everybody get a fighting chance to put the music out. Well, to make a long story short, I'm in an Airbnb, and I'm like Box Cutter, because Box Cutter is living in Oregon during this time,
Okay.
and I'm like, hey man, I'm up there. Why don't we go on and do something? So Box Cutter pulls up with the laptop, with the chaotic microphone, and we set that up in the dining room, and we made straight boss shit right there.
Wow.
And and while we doing straight boss shit, I got the wife filming it from the iPad, like while I'm there. And I said, you know what, Box, fuck this. Excuse my French. Let's just go on and do the whole song and shoot the video right now, and then we're gonna put this out. So that was me bragging. That was me showing everybody this is how good I am. I can pop up in the Airbnb, slap a studio together, make a record, write the record, rap the record, shoot the video, and then put this shit out all within a matter of a month and a half.
I love
And
it.
I did that, and that was straight boss shit. So that was me letting everybody know this thing for me is cakewalk. I could put these records out all day long. I can do it.
And
You
maybe
know.
that's why it was my favorite, right? Out of all the
Yeah.
tracks I listened to, that was my favorite. And maybe it's because that came through, but I had no idea that it was a literal pop up effort from an Airbnb, like you said. That's
Yes.
crazy to me.
Yes.
Well, the other song that I wanted to talk about before we wrap it up today is one that just feels so personal and I loved again for a different reason. But it's your song called Change It Up.
Yes.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that song? I love the opening. The spoken
Okay.
word part feels
Okay.
again like deeply personal. Did you write that? Like, how did,
Yes.
yeah, that hit?
So with my kids, right? Okay, it's music first, everything else second. And I know most people won't understand this, but if you're an artist, you'll definitely understand it. But it's music first with me, everything else second. So my kids was running neck and neck with music because I created them. So it's like, okay, they got a good fight, but music still taking the lead always. And since I wasn't being that much of a hands-on dad. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make it fair. I'm gonna use my songs to talk to them because I might not give them the attention and the time and the nurturing that they need. But if they listen to these records, then they're gonna see that it all makes sense. I did it for them, you know. So change it up was me talking to my sons. Like the very first bar, when it comes to money, don't trust your mom. To keep it real, don't even trust your pops. Need something to trust, only trust your Glock. Well, take your time, boys. Never ever rush your shots, because every one that hit, karma pays you back. Don't underestimate the fact that your daddy rap. So I'm letting them know right there in the very beginning, like, this is what it is. Don't trust nobody. Keep your money. And if you want to trust something, trust your own judgment. But just know, whatever you going to do, there's repercussions for that. And then when I get to the second verse, if you notice, every bar was love.
Yes, I
When it
did
comes to
notice.
love, so I broke it down, every part of love, and the part that it flow over everybody's head. Don't fall in love just because she let you do it without the lifestyle. They not understanding, like, just because you can able to do it and you don't have to, you know what I'm saying?
I
That
do.
don't mean you love. And then it says, then I say, she might love you today, but tomorrow she might love something different. And love ain't something you give just to be owed to. And so I broke that down. And then when I get to the third verse, I say, you know what? Let's go fundamentals. Elementary school is just to get you going. Middle school is when you realize your mind is growing. Now, high school is when life start getting strange, but take it easy is nothing more than mental change.
Yes.
So I broke it down. I gave them the hard knock in the very beginning. Very beginning, boom. Second verse, I told them about love. Now, I'm a real rapper. So when I got to that second verse, I showed the other rappers, okay, I want to say I'm rapping corny songs, but let me see y'all do a song where every bar is going to be about love and you telling the story and you flipping it around to where it's a consistent story being given and I keep bringing it back to the same point. So I'm showing you, like, my pen game is crazy. My pen game is crazy. The message, crazy. And then at the end of the day, I break it all the way down to where I teach this to a 5-year-old kid. And then the hook is right there.
Yep.
I was told a hard head makes a soft butt. You wear your heart on your sleeve, it gets cut. You tell a woman she love her, she goes nuts. If everything is going too smooth, go on and shake it up. So I'm telling them, if everything going too good, something ain't right. So change it up a little bit so you can control the outcome. So I'm very deep with my songs. And when you finally get the process and you get to listening to those records, you're gonna see, like, oh wait, he on steroids now. Now I'm I'm really on steroids. And I took a page out the new generation. I'm not giving you 4-minute records no more. It's like two verses, I'm getting in, getting out. Saying what I gotta say, keep it moving. But them hooks, I'm still keeping it simple. I ain't doing a whole bunch of hooks. I'm keeping it very simple. I kept I kept the hip hop swing in there because, like I said, I sampled the record, and the record that I sampled. Now this, I'm gonna give you this, Miss Jenn, so you can understand.
Okay.
I keep saying this, I'm a real rapper, right?
Right.
So the record that I use, that I sampled, it's got scratching in there.
Yes.
So if we gonna talk about being a hip hop artist, I showed you I'm a hip hop artist. I took a sample, I made a song, and I put the DJ in there scratching on the hook. And
Yes.
so you got the sample as the music, but the hook is the first bar of the song that I had sped that I had the producer, who is my cousin. Shout out to Chada. That's my cousin. My cousin produced that record, and we took my first bar, slowed it down, flipped it, and then scratched that as the hook.
Oh,
So So it's like and that record, the hook is "The world is a ghetto. It's so hard to let it go. We got so many scars to settle just fast, but the world is a ghetto. It's so hard to let it go." That's the hook. The world is a ghetto. It's so hard, but you got to hear how we scratched it in there. But that record, Awakening, I'm showing you, I'm really true to hip hop. I'm really true to hip hop, and because the R&B done infringed into hip hop to where we did. I got you one of those records too. That's Obstacles.
Okay.
And if you listen to that record with Rue Pratt singing on it, it's like, okay, hold on. I'm clowning. I'm having a ball making these records. So I give you Obstacles with a female singing on the hook,
Yep.
and the record that I got her on is talking to women. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's Obstacles. It's like I think she's saying in the hook, I'm feeling you, you feeling me. Ain't that the way it's supposed to be? Why we making it so difficult with all these obstacles? Something I can't get it right now because it's singing, and so you got to
Right.
hear it. But Obstacles, I hit them with that one, and then I got Box Cutter came back and laced me. That's just the A&R. He laced me with one where I got a record called Hip Hop Bible, and it's kind of like I'm telling you, hip hop's a Bible and I'm a prophet. So I hit him. So I try to keep this record organically positive and stay true to the core meaning of hip hop. I wasn't auto tuning. I wasn't. Nah, that ain't my swag at all. I'm really spitting. I'm giving you real songs. I'm putting real vocabulary in my songs. I'm not making it like I went to Oxford or one of these Ivy League schools. No, I'm straight from the hood, been from the hood. So I'm articulating this information to you at this same level. However, ain't nobody getting killed in the albums. Ain't no, ain't no, ain't no, ain't no major deals happening. It's just information from crash dummies to take the money and run. And what you really gonna be impressed with is that my sons know what they doing with them beats. And I had to sprinkle a couple of my other buddies up in there just to give it that pizzazz.
Share
But
the
the
love.
album exactly, and but the album is predominantly me and my boys and Box Cutter,
I love
and
that.
it's and I'm proud of it.
I can't wait. Again, like I said, everything that I've heard so far, you articulate it so well in terms of what it means to you and the place that it comes from. And so to be able to hear the new album as a whole, I'm really excited. It sounds like it's got so much of everything that I've loved from your stuff that's already out there all in one place. And so, do you know when are we going to have access to the process? When will
Oh,
that
the
be
album is
dropping?
dropping. The album is dropping New Year's Eve, December
All
31st.
right.
Like I keep stressing to you, Jen, I'm a music person. So the only way to accurately tell what I'm doing the whole year, January 1st, I start the project. So I need to see what the whole year is going to look like. So the album is coming out December 31st. So at midnight, you'll get it. So the
Excellent.
31st, the 31st, you'll be able to listen to it. So when you go into 2025, the process will be there. And I got some things that I'm going to be doing in 2025 to help enhance the album. We finally going to get a record off of Chunky so I can put out some singles. I think we're going to run the same playbook we did with me and
Good.
put out a bunch of singles and then let him put out a record. We be having like I said, he's my son, but he's also an artist and he's also a producer. So we be having some creative differences sometimes. But at the end of the day, I think he has about 80% faith in me because an artist is gonna be an artist anyway.
And you
So,
want that.
but
You want
yes,
that. And
exactly,
sometimes that magic
exactly.
comes out of the friction. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So, but December 31st is coming, and what I'll do, because I do have your email address,
yeah.
what I was going to do is, I was going to have, if anybody purchased a hoodie,
Mhm.
you get the physical copy of the CD and the autographed poster before the album drops. So I think probably this week or next week, I'll start going on my social media. First, I'm gonna go to my family because we got a family group text.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in the family group text first, let my family get first dibs, and then of course I'll make sure. Well, you know now, so all you gotta do is
Yeah.
just say I want it, and it's there. So I get you a hoodie, a Kimeyo Records hoodie,
Yes.
a physical copy of the CD, and an autograph poster, and you'll have it before the release date. So
Thank
those
you.
people that was supportive of what we're doing, they will have a physical copy of the album with all the liner notes and the credits in there and everything, and they can let it be known if they want to download it and share it to people before the 31st. By all means, you will. But I'm, like I said, I'm a record person, so don't think I'm gonna give you the record that far before the release date. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it is going to be it's good for me to gauge who's really supportive of what I've been doing and all the hard work that I done put into this career that I have right here. And I go to work every day, so I still get up every morning and go to work and do my 9 to 5 job to provide for my family. And I love the fact that I can just save a couple paychecks, go in the studio, put out some records, and boom, keep it moving. And that eliminates me from having be so dependent on somebody else making the decision. And if they do come and be like, Kimeyo, we want to do a situation with you, I can show them, look, man, this is what I'm spending, this is what I have to sacrifice to come over here and take this. You're gonna have to compensate all this. So basically, you're gonna be paying me what I was getting at my job plus a little bit extra because I gotta leave my job, which I don't want to do because I like the people at work. I really like my job.
Right.
So you gotta really convince me to tell them I'm leaving them and my boss, who's cool. I got a very great boss. Why would I want to leave my boss? And then for two, you got to show me that you're really going to commit to my vision, not the vision you think you have for me, but my vision. Because if you can't commit to those, I'm happy right where I'm at.
Yeah, you're doing it on your own anyway, the way you wanna do it.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
well, Kimio, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me today. I know you have a lot going on. You've got a lot of projects. You're busy all the time. And I so appreciate that you've taken the time to chat with me about your process and about some of the songs that really resonated with me. It was good to dig in and understand like where they came from and really truly what a familial affair it was with all of the people that you're working with. And I think listeners, if you want to learn more about Kimio and check out his music, which I highly recommend, you can visit his website at kimeo.com. That's KIMEYO.com. You can also check out his Instagram at Kimeo Live, KIMEYOLIVE. All the information that you need for the new album, the process will be there. And as you heard him say, it's dropping December 31st. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And as always, listeners, please be sure to follow, download, and share this show. And if you love listening, drop us a review on Apple or Spotify. Last but not least, to stay informed on all things Super Awesome Mix and what are you listening to, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Super Awesome Mix. Thanks for listening, and please join me again next week to find your new favorite song.